Okay, welcome back to part 2 of my rear brake rotor and pad replacement on a 2016 Mazda 6. If you missed the first part, that's when we did all the removal of everything, including the wheel, and now we're going to put everything back together. I've cleaned everything up and prepped everything. We're going to put everything back together and finish the brake job on this side. So started by I cleaned up the hub a little bit where the old rotor was stuck, put a little bit of anti-seize there. I'm gonna grab the new rotor now at this point. And let me make sure you guys can see. Grab the new rotor at this point and install it. I usually grab one of the lug nuts and put it on here just to kind of hold it in place so it's not moving around too much while we install the caliper bracket and caliper. So caliper bracket, I went ahead and I cleaned up all the slides. I already I cleaned up these as well, so they move freely now. Went ahead and installed the new pads, which usually is just easier to go ahead and install those off of the car. I'm gonna go ahead and slide this in, grab my extra long caliper bolts, and then I'm gonna get them started by hand. Again, these are 14 millimeter. Once I get those in there, I'm gonna just grab those pads, put them a little bit closer. And then we can begin the long, monotonous process of tightening these extra long bolts. Again, just as in the removal process, I'd like to skip this step. I'm not gonna edit it out, so I'm not very good at the video editing yet, but you can go ahead and skip forward probably about 2 minutes or so, and then we will be past the tightening here. Every once in a while, I stop and kind of just make sure those pads aren't working their way out of the caliper bracket, and then just continue with your tightening. Sometimes it gets easier and then it gets harder, and about the only thing I'd rather live in the South for is to not have to deal with rust that we get on the cars up north here. I do like having the 4 seasons, but when you're working on cars, the rust is not fun. Did put a little bit of anti-seize on these bolts, even though they did come out easy this time. Well, not easy, but they broke. Didn't break on the way out, but they broke loose somewhat easily. I did stick a little bit of anti-seize on them. That way, the next time they're removed, they'll come out again. Okay, and now that those two are tight, gonna go ahead and make sure these pads are tight in here. And then what I usually like to do, I guess let's first, I didn't do this on the last video, is crank in this emergency brake. So again, I do have the vehicle in maintenance mode, so all you have to do is depress this piston. You don't want to twist it, you want to push it straight in, and it shouldn't be hard. If it's hard, your vehicle's not in maintenance mode or something's wrong. So I'm going to go ahead and get my compressing tool here, and this should be, again, very easy. It shouldn't be much pressure at all to get this cranked back in. I usually use an old pad to crank against it, but in this case these brakes were so worn I was not able to get a pad in there and the tool. So you can see I'm literally using my left hand and I'm right-handed, and this is cranking super easy back in. Again, not turning it, just pushing it straight back in. Now the boot does seem to get a little bit like it's you know, swells up almost like on the outside edges. That's fine. I'm only going to crank it until it feels like it's giving me a little bit of pressure, and then I'm going to take this out of here, and it should now be back far enough. Going to go ahead and put a little bit of squeal, like a little bit of lubrication on here so it doesn't rattle or squeal or clunk, and then a little bit here on the back where the piston is going to contact. So do that here real quick. You can also put this directly onto the caliper when you're installing it. I'm pretty heavy-handed with it. I don't want to get this all back together and then there be some sort of brake squeal or noise, since these are not, I did not buy factory parts to do this job. I bought centric middle grade coated rotors and ceramic pads. Now to install this, it's easiest to kind of go from the bottom and get the emergency brake, the electronic emergency brake out under first, and then kind of slide it in. So you're gonna need both hands to do this. So you can see there, once I kind of come in from the bottom there, it makes it pretty easy. And then we're gonna go ahead and install these two 13mm screws. Probably need to use my vice grips again to be able to tighten them without that inner one spinning. Again, I apologize for any wind noise. We're having very gusty wind today, except for the 70-degree day in March, so I figured it was a good day to do this minus the wind. Okay, I'm gonna come back to that one and just give it one more. Now the wind's coming from a completely different direction than it was 5 minutes ago. That's how the weather works here in Pittsburgh. Again, with this one, I'm just being very careful since I'm right next to that electronic e-brake. Just want to make sure I don't put any unnecessary or extra pressure on that plastic and break it. Okay, got those tightened. Now, at this point, we're kind of ready for the wheel and tires. So I'm gonna back this up. I'm gonna go ahead and grab out my jack stand from underneath the vehicle. always torque passenger car tires with aluminum wheels. I torque them to 95. I know some people will say, oh, the manufacturer recommends less than that. I always do 95. I've had too many cases where manufacturer recommends lower than that, and then you have cases where lug nuts are coming loose. So I've always done 95 on passenger cars, and then trucks and vans vary a little bit in addition to that. So let the weight of the vehicle down, and then torque these to 95. Most people will say, oh, go in a star pattern, go in a star pattern. At this point, I'm just tightening them down. So I'm just going to go around them twice. They will get tight since I tightened them already in a star pattern with my air gun. And that is how to complete a rear brake rotor and pad job on a 2016 Mazda 6. The only thing we have left to do is take it out of maintenance mode. Again, that's done in another video of mine. You'll see a video where I put it in maintenance mode and take it out of maintenance mode for the rear electronic e-brake. So if you want to go over and check out that video, don't forget to put it back in normal mode, take it out of maintenance mode. But that will be it. That will do it today for our rear brake job on this 2016 Mazda 6. Thank you so much for joining. If this helped you at all, please give the video a thumbs up, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and come back again sometime soon for additional videos. Thank you so much for your time. Bye.